Hey, hi everyone. Welcome back. So, guys, as part of the previous session, if you remember, we have seen how exactly we can do a Jenkins job configuration and other details, right? As part of the today's session, let us see how exactly we can create a pipelines in this particular Jenkins. Okay, how exactly we can create a pipelines in this particular Jenkins we are gonna see. Generally, a pipeline means basically one action will be depending or a one job will be depending on another job. Right. So ideally, one job will be depending on another job. Like, what I can say is first, you can consider that a deployment build is there. On top of that particular deployment build, there is some other builds like a release build, testing builds, and all those builds will be there depending on a one after another. In such cases, here, your automation script should execute, okay, the Jenkins code, whatever you have, it should execute whenever the other build is successful. That itself is a continuous integration, right? So whenever the other build is successful, whenever the deployment build is successful, then test it, and after testing go to the release. Like, initial build will be there, and then once the deployment will be there, and once the deployment build is completed, then execute the testing build, and hence the testing build is completed, then execute the release build. Like that, these are the series of activities that you can consider it as a pipelines basically. Okay, so here, demo build. Okay, I'm just giving it as a demo build, and I'm choosing it here. As part of the build steps, I'm giving my this shell as echo demo build. Okay, so this is the first one. I just want to cross check whether it is executing successfully or not, hence I just build it, and I see that demo build executed successfully. And on the dashboard, I want to go with the deployment build. Okay, I want to go with the deployment build. And here, as part of the build steps, execute the step, here, echo deployment build. I just saved it. Okay, and even when you run it, it should show up that the deployment build would be there. Okay, the console output, the deployment would be there. Consider that the third build is gonna be the testing, and the last is gonna be a release build. Okay, the last is gonna be a release build. And here, as part of this, echo release build, save it. As and when you clicked on that particular build now button, as and when you clicked on that build now, see, one build got executed successfully. Perfect. So what we have done right now, we created a three builds. Okay, we created a three builds. The last is a release build. The first is a demo build. And what was the second build that we have created? Demo build, deployment build. Okay, yeah. Deployment build, and your testing. Consider that I haven't added it. So these are the four jobs that we have in this Jenkins, and we need to establish a relation between all those things. So first, when the demo build is successful, then the deployment build should execute. In such a cases, go into the deployment build, configure it. Okay, choose the triggers. Okay, trigger build after other projects are built, which is a demo build. So execute this piece of a code or this particular job that you have created when the demo build is executed successfully. Trigger only if it is stable. Okay, so I established a relationship between the deployment build and a demo build. And right now, the Appium automation framework that we have, right? Let us see the Python based framework that we have created here. Where is the framework that we created? An Appium framework. This is the 30 minutes ago. Yep. This is the job. And Appium framework, I was just configuring it. If you see, we ran it one time and again I'm configuring it and I'm triggering that build after the project, which is the deployment build. Whenever the deployment build is successful, you just build it. Okay, whenever the deployment build is successful, you just build it. And after that, the last one is a release build. And this release build is depending on your testing build. So build after, this is an Appium framework. Okay, build after the Appium framework is stable. Okay, build after the Appium framework is stable. Perfect. So if you observe, what is the first build that you have right now, which is a demo build. So this demo build is interlinked to a deployment, and this deployment is interlinked to your Appium framework, and this is interlinked to your release. So like that, one after another, we have all the builds. Now, all these builds I ran only once. Now, I'm clicking on this build now. See, as and when I'm clicking on the demo build now, so if you observe, I'm triggering this one. This, if it is a successful, then this it will execute. If this is successful, then testing it will execute. If testing is successful, then release build will be executed. So I'm clicking on a build now. So whenever we clicked on that particular build now, the second build it's being executed and it is triggering the deployment build, and the deployment build, the second execution is completed and it is triggering the Appium build. See, the second execution is happening. If you see, it should launch the mobile app and it should perform that particular actions on that particular mobile app. Okay, it should launch that actions on that mobile app. I know the mobile build. Okay, I know the mobile automation build is getting failed because of some issues that we have in the code base. If you remember the inappropriate mapping, so here it was supposed to enter the email ID, which it is entering just that username value. Hence, the script will fail, which in turns the build is getting failed, as this itself isn't stable, right? So let us see what it's gonna happen, whether it is gonna trigger the release build or not. Let us see. So Appium framework, this is the release build. This executed only one time. The second time it doesn't executed. The reason is the Appium framework isn't stable, hence it doesn't triggered this particular release build. So if you configure here in the triggers, okay, trigger even if the build is unstable. Okay, even if the build is unstable, I just want to trigger it. So now when I clicked on this build now, what it will happen is this will execute for the third time and the deployment build will execute for the third time. Okay, and once the deployment build got executed for the third time, it will execute the Appium framework for the third time. And even if the result is a pass or a failed, this time the release build will be executing for the second time. Perfect. So this is the way how I am correlating, right? One after another, how I am correlating. But if you want to look at a pictorial representation, okay, if you want to look at a pictorial representation in the Jenkins, there is a plugin. Okay, there is a plugin. So go to plugins, and here I was going to the installed plugins, and the plugin that I want to use here is a build pipeline plugin. So use this particular build pipeline plugin. Okay, so just use this, install this build pipeline plugin, and here upon that from the dashboard there is an all, and next to that there is a next new view. If you click on it, this is the view. Uh, Pipeline one view. Okay, the pipeline one view, create it. So we are just creating this particular view. Basically, this is gonna be triggered on this particular build cards. Okay, this is gonna be triggered on this particular build cards. As and when I hit this particular save, so the pipeline 3 is getting executed, and this is the way it's being showing it up. Okay, this is the way how it's being showing it up. See, three times it got executed and all the details it's being showing it up here. Okay, all the details are being showing it up here. Even we can further customize this particular the build here. So, if you see right now, it's just showing it up in this way. So, let me go and configure. Let us look at this particular option. So, here, select the initial job. There is a drop down, and I know that the demo build is my initial job. Okay, demo build is my initial job, and I have chosen it. And if I further scroll down, always allow the triggers, number of builds that it will display. Choose the 5 builds. I just want to show it. Apply and click on a save. See, basically, if you see right now, you triggered this build for 3 times. You triggered this build for 3 times. Okay. So if you see this build is successful, this build is successful, this got a fail, and all the complete information it's being showing it up here. You just configured it and you ran it for 3 different times. And here you do have an option to run it, as and when you run it, see the demo build is being triggered. It's just completed, and now the deployment build it's trying to execute. It should complete that particular deployment build, and once the deployment build is completed, let us see once the Appium build has started. So like that, you can just run it from here and you can play around with it. Okay, you can see the various histories, see what exactly the things that's going on. See the Appium build, it's being triggering and it's just executing that like that. You can see all the details from here. See the second build is executed. This one, the Appium framework, it's getting executed like that. All other details it's gonna show up here, and if you click on this particular console output, even it's just showing it up the console output. Okay, the first two were executed. Okay, the first two were executed, and I was just triggering from here the individual build also. It's up to our wish how exactly we can trigger this particular chunk. Okay, so in the Appium build, if you have a configured it, it will be executing the further chunks. But anyways, so this is the way how exactly you can configure the builds and how exactly you can trigger this particular pipelines in Jenkins. Okay, perfectly all right. See you again in the next session with the further concepts. Thank you.